Okay, so this arc already starts off on an offensive note. I sort of overlooked this in the Pain arc, because although it was there and annoying, it didn't overshadow the rest of the emotional scenes in that arc. But this whole emphasis on prophecy really goes against everything Naruto has stood for up to this point. Naruto's story is supposed to be that of a nobody rising through respect, hard work, and diligence. I mean, the show has already gone to great lengths to praise the merits of hard work. Remember Naruto fighting Neji and convincing him destiny is dumb? Remember Rock Lee's entire character? Remember Naruto saying he won't stop until people recognize him for who he is every single arc?
Till the day that I become Hokage, whatever happens, there's no way I'm gonna die!
If anything, Naruto had been a story about fighting destiny at this point. Sasuke, the man antagonist, derives all his power from circumstance instead of training, a fact which would eventually prove irritating, especially later on in the war, but was forgivable to a point solely because it created that sort of opposite parallel between him and Naruto. Sasuke is naturally talented. Naruto is naturally untalented. In the end, however, we all thought Naruto's perseverance and hard work would lead him to overcome Sasuke. But more on this fucking shit later. And honestly, I wouldn't have many issues with this arc if it existed in a vacuum. Hell, it has some really satisfying moments. Watching the story of the attack on the Leaf Village by the Ninetales, a story 10 years in the making, proved to be pretty satisfying. This part of the arc is very entertaining. Most of his interactions with Kushina are extremely touching and heartfelt. She feels like a real mother who has never been able to see her son. This whole part of the arc is pretty amazing and interesting to consider that this arc was never planned at all. Kishimoto self-admits this idea was inspired by him having his own children, and I guess wanting Naruto not to be completely deprived of that parental bond. The stuff is great. However, the stuff is not. Alright, look, I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people by saying this, but Naruto should have never mastered the Ninetales, and I mean never. Now, what I'm going to propose is going to require some deeper analysis, but I want you to really think about this for a second. Naruto having the Ninetales was first portrayed as this horrific accident of birth which he wishes he could replace. You get some pseudo-racist vibes from the people of the Leaf towards him, outcasting him, not wanting the children to play with him, etc, etc, etc. Now, while having him learn to appreciate and master the Ninetales does drive home a pretty decent message of accepting your own differences and using them to your advantage, if you really want to stretch it, it also comes at the cost of Naruto's other more prominent and more important theme, hard work. We're back to this. Naruto mastering the Ninetales grants him this insane power boost where he can do almost anything, and I mean literally almost anything. Don't worry, I'll destroy these scenes later. And besides removing the tension from the scene, it takes everything the show had laid prior to this about overcoming adversity through hard work and throws it out the window. Sorry kids, you'll never be as strong as Naruto because you weren't born like he was. Jeez, reminds me of someone else in this series. Even setting its grand theme aside though, I think one of the bigger points being made in Shippuden was that Naruto didn't need the Ninetales. When Naruto goes 4 tails against Orochimaru and sees the devastation he causes, he's completely horrified and shocked that he could do this with no recollection. And then Yamato gives him this speech about seeing Sasuke with his own eyes and all, and we don't see the Ninetales for a while. Okay, well, we don't see Naruto use it for a while. Only during Naruto's fight with Pain, when he watches Hinata die, or almost die, does it re-emerge. And this time, all 9 tails sprout. But Minato reseals it and suddenly Naruto has to fight without the Ninetales. Had Naruto killed Pain with the Ninetales, it would have felt incredibly unearned. The reason the ending to that fight is so satisfying is because Naruto defeats Pain all on his own. Yes, the Ninetales came out and hit Tendo Pain around, but he didn't really do damage to him. So this scene, where Naruto just uses the Rasengan and is thrown by a shadow clone into Pain, in my opinion, is really the last time Naruto earns fucking anything in this series. Which is a damn shame because this is one of the coolest moments in the entire show. If you aren't convinced that Naruto not using the Ninetales is what made this scene awesome, I want you to think back for a second about all of Naruto's fights in the series. Naruto versus Haku. Wins because of the Ninetales emerging. Naruto versus Orochimaru briefly in the Forest of Death. Some of the Ninetales comes out a little. Naruto versus Neji. Uses some of the Ninetales chakra to defeat him. Naruto versus Gaara. Uses some Ninetales chakra to summon Chief Toad. Naruto versus Kabuto. A very notable exception where he wins through the Rasengan. Naruto versus Sasuke. I don't even need to say it for this one if you don't remember. You did not watch that fight. Naruto versus Deidara, less of a fight, but still you see it come out and he attempts to hurt him. Naruto versus Reduced Power Orochimaru, see 2 minutes ago in this very video. And Naruto versus Kakazu, again, another notable exception, he does win without the Nine Tails. Now these fights are still satisfying because a lot of the time it relies on Naruto attempting to control the power, and he does have to train in order to do that, but he doesn't just automatically master part of it. But besides Kakazu and sort of knocking out Kabuto, Naruto has not really accomplished much of anything in the series without the Nine Tails. So when he defeated Pain, I was like, okay, Naruto has become strong enough now where he doesn't need to rely on it. He's become like his own hero, and the people acknowledge him as such. It's such a great moment. It means so much in terms of the writing and build-up to finally have Naruto overcome the Nine Tails. Oh no. First of all, remember how hard it was for Naruto to draw upon the Nine Tails, even a little bit in the original series? Now he can just freaking take half of its chakra in a battle? I'm sorry, this fight is retarded. You shouldn't have to wrestle the Nine Tails in order to get its power. That's some freaking WWE level shit. Literally. Then Kisame appears because Naruto could sense him with the Nine Tails. But wait, didn't Naruto already have this power with Sage Mode? Why is the Kyuubi so much better at it? Sage Mode is literally like taking an energy around you, when at least Naruto detecting people Dragon Ball style had more of a basis. Here he's just like, Nine Tails lets me do it. Thus, already beginning the infinite power boost he will receive from here on out. Also, this isn't taijutsu. Yeah, it's pressurized air in the shape of a fucking lion. Guy in Lee's powers until now had actually been taijutsu, but I guess Kishimoto was like, we'll just give him a ninjutsu and say it was taijutsu. Because why not? But I think I've said what I need to say about this whole arc. I don't have anything else to really comment on, so finally we can get to the fourth great ninja war. Oh god, I have to talk about the battle preparations. Okay, I know that Tsunade had to be shot down for keeping Bee and Naruto out of the war because the others wouldn't allow it. But I don't know, I think she accepted the defeat way too easily. Remember this scene when she basically told those two people who had seniority over her to fuck off? Where's that Tsunade? So now we're just going to divide all of our troops into 5 groups and hope nothing goes wrong. Excuse me, why? I know Naruto ain't as advanced as modern times, but they also ain't fucking Sparta. They're not a traveling group of roughly 300 men trying to conquer the known world and making no stops for recruitment. I mean, seriously, who deploys all of their troops at once? What if Toby was just waiting with the statue and somehow found a way to activate it and launch like 8-tailed beast bombs at the entire army? That'd be unfortunate. There's no way he could do that because he doesn't have the 8 or 9 Oh, right. Believe me, we'll get to that barrel of worms. But seriously, why deploy everyone? Remember when Madara came back and wiped out an entire company by himself? Might have been better off telling some of those guys to stay home for a day or two so you could have another army to fight him and not be scrounging for troops. And aside from that, from what we can tell, Naruto's world ain't too big. People seem to move between nations on foot in a matter of days at most. What tactical sense does it make to throw all your troops out there? Why not put some in reserves? And this goes for both sides of the conflict. Why does Obito deploy all the Zetsu? What makes him so sure the Allied forces will use every single ninja they have? Seriously, in the war, the Allied forces deploy all their troops except 2, and Obito deploys all of them except 1. Why? It doesn't make any sense. Why not have a more tactical group form who tries to silently assault the enemy instead of unveiling them out in the open and having them fight in lines? Does Kishimoto realize how wars work? He does know that in most wars, there's some level of guerrilla warfare involved, and rarely does it ever result in these massive armies clashing with each other. And for those of you thinking, yeah, modern wars are fought like that, but the feudal wars were much less advanced. Just read the very first sentence about the ninja entry on Wikipedia. A ninja, or shinobi, was a covert agent or mercenary in feudal Japan. The functions of the ninja included espionage, sabotage, infiltration, assassination, and guerrilla warfare. Also, please don't get me started on how everyone wears some variation of that vest and same headband. Look, Naruto's character designs have gotten so much simpler and simpler since the original series, a topic which I think deserves to be discussed much more in depth, so I won't get too deep with it here, but just to prove my point for a second, let's honestly assess the Konoha 12 in Part 1 and the beginning of Part 2. Name one character who has a cooler or more interesting design than they used to. You can't, because there isn't one. At best, it looks just as good, but usually it looks at least a little worse. And now with the war, it's the perfect excuse to draw every character exactly the same with the same headband, only needing to show a few different facial features. I get more complex designs probably get annoying to draw, but if Kishimoto is seriously so bored of drawing these characters that he's drawing them all almost exactly the same, I think that's the sign he should have gotten out. I mean, the man used to love drawing. Just read some of his personal thoughts which accompany the end of his early chapters. He used to have so much more passion for this medium. And sadly, I think this war is about to demonstrate just how much of that passion and confidence has eroded away.